Right, welcome back to another video, and as you can see by the title of this one, we've got a 100+ kill game with the M1922 MMG. So another MMG ticked off the list, and as you can see, it's another MMG which you managed to do on Underground Conquest. So this is obviously following up from the MG42 game. But obviously before I get into the video, if you haven't subscribed yet, we are so close to that 500 subscriber mark, which were really nice to get within the next month or so. So if you do watch a lot of the videos that I make and you aren't yet subscribed, please consider subscribing and drop a like as soon as you find something in this video that is helpful. But as always, if you want to check out the specializations which I've chosen for this gun, then make sure you check on the home page of the channel or in the playlist section the 4 videos which I created where I talk through all the specializations for every single gun in the game, giving my opinion on what I think is best and what may suit your playstyle the best. However, as for the sight, you can see I'm using the reflex sight. This is the best option I have decided for this gun, simply because the iron sight, although it does improve the zoom on the gun because obviously it aims in closer to the gun and to the sight, which is actually beneficial. However, when you aim in with the iron sight, more of the stock and barrel of the gun is covering the majority of the screen, and so it makes it harder to see and spot enemies, which can obviously get you killed. And of course, you have also got the option of the AA sights, which are also very good on some guns, like the M1919 MMG, which you will have seen recently in the last few weeks. That video I did on Rotterdam. If you haven't already seen that one, then be sure to check that one out. But the AA sight on this gun, because the recoil pattern can be quite hard to control at long range, the post, or the bar that is on the AA sight which you're using to aim with, is a bit too thick at long range. So when you want to be accurate, or you're just aiming for a pinpoint, really small head in a distance or a body part, it can cover the majority of the enemy, and it can drop your accuracy quite a bit. Whereas the reflex sight, it's got in that middle range for zoom, and it's got that clear single dot as one point, which you can be therefore perfectly accurate and see any enemy at any range, any distance you want to shoot with. So the M1922 MMG is quite good, quite a good all-round MMG, and is for me up there rated as one of the best MMGs in the game. And this is for a number of reasons. Of course, I think with the extended belts specialization, which I have gone for, it allows you to get 250 rounds in your clip or your magazine or the belt, which obviously therefore matches the MG42 as being up there as the MMGs or even the guns in the entirety of the game with a maximum amount of fireable bullets you can have. Not only that, as you can see multiple times in this clip, the crosshairs when you're going to hipfire are quite close together, so the hipfire is very good. So it is up there with some of the best MMGs for hipfire, which is you're obviously going to be using a lot when you are playing with MMG. If you don't want to be sat in one space all the time and you want to move to and from cover and places where you can mount the gun, then of course you're going to have to be able to be accurate and good hip firing the gun while you're moving to and from those spots. So therefore it's also good for that, and all around it's just got a good fire rate, which is manageable and controllable with a little bit of practice.
I haven't opened it yet.
And of course recoil on any gun, no matter how much recoil there is, that is a learnable skill and skill gap. So any recoil pattern can be learned and controlled. However, this one is generally easy and most people are able to manage and control it. And the bullet velocity is also very good. So just all around it's good in all areas. It's probably one of the most versatile MMGs in the game. Not only that, of course, you've got those 250 rounds. The reload time is pretty close to the MG42, and of course you don't really need to worry about it takes so long to reload or this or that, simply because you've got 250 rounds. You're never going to run out of ammo when you need it, and you'll always find within that 250 rounds you'll always find the right time during the game, because obviously it's going to take you so long to use those 250 rounds. You'll always find a good time during the game to be able to reload safely and therefore not be killed. But as you can see in this game specifically, I'm not so much camping. Of course, this is underground, so a lot of the enemies will come to you and will push to you, and so you haven't got to move around as much. And if you do move around, you're more than likely going to run into enemies yourself and get killed, especially when you've got a gun where you can't aim down the sights with unless you're mounted, which obviously means to mount the gun, you have to be stationary on a certain position. But what you'll see, obviously, as it chops and changes through the clips which I've edited into this video, you will see I am moving around a little bit. However, I'm moving to and from cover and obviously mounting the gun. I am going to be waiting 5 to 10 seconds sometimes, because if you get caught out when you're running to and from locations, you're always going to lose most of the gunfights, even though you've got a good Hipfire MMG. And so, you know, sometimes you do have to be patient for 5 to 10 seconds just to be safe, and so that you know, of course, you can move forward or push on to the next point of cover where you want to mount the MMG. And of course, when you've got a good position with the MMG, you don't really need to move or give that up, because all of the enemies in underground specifically are going to come to you and come into your sights and your crosshairs. And so, you know, it's just, they just let them come to you. You're already aimed in. You've got the higher magazine size. You've got the higher fire rate. You've got great accuracy. You know, you're going to be able to outgun pretty much anyone, obviously, unless there's snipers, for etc., who already know where you are, and they're able to pick you off quite quickly. But as long as you're chopping and changing different positions and mounting the gun, just having a little bit of patience, it's not being it's not camping. You are trying to move to and from locations, but you have got to, obviously, to use the sight, you have to mount the gun and therefore be stationary. So this is a normal part of this gun and how you should play. But specifically talking about this game, you can see here I've managed to push from B towards the enemy's spawn flag, being C. And I'm simply just trying to get behind the enemy lines as they're spawning and pushing past where I am right now. And I'm picking off any enemies that are therefore going to run past me. And I'm just going to try be as sneaky as possible and try stay alive as long as possible behind the enemies who are obviously spawning on C and pushing through to B. So that's basically it. I'm just trying to stay behind enemy lines here, so I haven't got to obviously face the enemies head on, and I can get free kills without having to engage in any gunfights while I am a stationary target. And this is a technique or something you should be doing with no matter what gun or playstyle you are using on underground. Pushing past the enemy line and staying behind the enemies in this spawn is very, very good in this game, in underground, in this map specifically, simply because you will know at that midpoint of the map how many different choke points there are, where you literally spend the entire game where the whole enemies are all just, you know, there's two walls just blocking each other off, and you can't go through at all. You can't push forward at all. So if you manage to get through, try to be sneaky, let an enemy or two run past you if you have to, and then once you get through, you'll stay alive, have a much better chance of staying alive a lot longer, because the enemies spawning in this spawn don't expect you to be there, and therefore they're not looking for you, and therefore obviously you can stay alive and pick off a lot of free and easy kills. So that is one of the biggest tips I can give you on underground, and that's something you should be doing no matter what gun or playstyle you're using. Of course, you've got to be a lot more careful when using an MMG, simply because you can't just run a gun with it aiming in down your sights. So that pretty much concludes, you know, anything I wanted to say in this video about this gun in particular. I've got plenty of other videos which I've made on underground with even more different types of tips depending on which gun I was using in that video, or, you know, the class or whatever playstyle I was going for. So obviously be sure to check out any of those other videos I've created in the last few months, obviously since before Christmas, because that is when I started doing all of the commentaries and tutorials during these 100 kill game videos which I was making. So if you want any more specific tips on underground, there are plenty more videos. And I've explained, you know, really good ways where you should be positioning yourself and power positions for this map, which obviously will take too long to explain again in this video. So please do check those ones out. Again, we're almost at 500 subscribers now, almost there. It'd be a really nice achievement to hit within the next month or two. So obviously, if you've watched this far, then hopefully you have found something helpful or enjoyed. So at the least, please drop me a like. If not, consider subscribing. Be very, very helpful. And yeah, I guess I will leave it to you guys to finish the last 30 seconds of this video. Please leave me a comment. You know, love reading comments. And yeah, I'll stop blabbing on and leave you to it. So enjoy the rest of the video, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive.